Welcome to The Naked Truth. And now, your host, Bridget Barclay.
Good evening, America, and a very good early morning here in England, as I always say, because it is. Tonight's guest is Shawn West. He's known from the agent of the UFO stars. Shawn represents dozens of worldwide, not just Hollywood, worldwide UFO experiences, including Travis Walton, Nick Pope, Richard Dolan, Jason Martell, Lynne Kitei from the Phoenix Lights, Steve Bassett, and actually so many other people. And also on his books, just the movie stars as well. And what he represents is absolutely amazing. If you go onto his website, my gosh. He works in the fields of TV development with Darcy Weir. He's distributed loads of entertainments for the media, NBC, History Channel, Netflix, Science Fiction Channel, Travel Channel, Amazon Prime, and many more. He's been in the glamour rock band out in Los Angeles back in the days where I lived there. I wonder if we bumped into each other. We certainly knew a few people of the same people, which is quite extraordinary. He was born in Hawaii. He moved to Hollywood, started doing the glamour rock. And it's really interesting how he got into the business. And it's quite comical. Only you can get away with that in when you live out in, I call it Hollywood. Okay, so I'm Shawn. Welcome, Shawn West. There you go. Hi. I was thinking of Steve Bassett at that time then, because I was thinking of the Hollywood Disclosure. So I totally apologise. But you are a part of the Hollywood Disclosure with Dan Huari as well. So thank you for coming on, Shawn. Thank you so much. I heard about your experiences on Dan Huari's show, and I had to say, I had never heard something so extraordinary in my life. And I've read lots of books, watched lots of documentaries, know lots of experiences, but yours just totally popped out to say, oh my God. And as I said to you previously, just a moment ago, I don't know what I would do if I had that experience that you'd had, because it was extraordinary, which we will go into. And we do have some AI pictures to go through that. So, Shawn, talk to me, because I thought it was absolutely hilarious how you got into the media business within film and music. Tell us your two flukes of how you got into the business. It's just quite only crazy people can do that, right? and have got the balls to do it.
Well, I'm sure a lot of luck was involved.
Yeah.
The right place at the right time. That when people say that that's really all it takes is to show up and be in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
It's really quite true.
Yeah.
And as you were saying, well, first of all, it's wonderful to see you again. Wonderful to be with you tonight.
Thank you.
And talk about all these things that have affected my life in such a huge manner. But getting into show business was a bit of an accident. As you may know, I was at the time in the mid 80s, 1980s. I was in a rock band. That was when I had hair. I saw it.
What you sent me. That's great.
And that's what us men did back then. We wore makeup, tight clothes, and had long hair.
Loved it.
It's quite different than men of today.
Yeah.
Or maybe not.
There's still guys walking around Hollywood like that, really.
Yes, we were trans before trans was cool.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So it's all well and good to grow your hair long and write rock songs and ride your motorcycle up and down Sunset.
That's right, because on Sunset it was like at the end of Sunset there was sushi on Sunset, and you had the rice burners on one side and the hogs on the other side, and we all sort of I was on the hog side. I always used to go on the sports or the Harleys. Yeah, right.
Yeah, we park in front of the Rainbow Bar and Grill, and we would be there till closing, and just hundreds and hundreds of people would walk by. Lots of bands and lots of fans, and Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night was what they call a scene, and it had been
Yeah,
going
it
on
was.
there,
I was in it.
since
I was in
Van
it. I
Halen,
loved it.
late 70s with Van Halen. So you and I were into it, sort of at the
Yeah.
tail end of the glam rock era.
Yeah.
And it had reached a fevered peak to
Mhm.
where a lot of the people that lived in Beverly Hills and West Hollywood, in those big, beautiful homes surrounding Strip, they started complaining that there were just tens of thousands of kids hanging around till all hours of the night, and throwing their trash and making noise and just having a lot of fun. And it was. I mean, I can honestly say it was good, clean fun back then. It really was.
Yeah, it was some of the best days of my life, actually.
And the music still rings in my ear. I mean, I can hear those songs, and a lot of them were recorded and put out on record albums. But a lot of my friends, they didn't get signed to record labels, so their songs kind of went into the ether. But some of them were just fantastic. In fact, I was thinking about a song today that my friend Kevin Kerwin, who was the bass player in my band, he wrote. And then at that moment, I happened to see a tweet by Bret Michaels.
Oh, wow.
And, Bret Michaels was talking about how today is National Diabetes Awareness Day.
Okay.
And, Bret is a what do they call it? A level 1 diabetic. And he has been since he was in Hollywood. Okay. And we lived in the same apartment complex in the 80s.
Oh, wow.
And he don't have to jab himself,
What area were you in? What area were you in?
Studio Colony, very, very famous rock and roll hangout apartment complex.
What, in Studio City? Okay, right. Okay, yeah. I lived on Los Cienega and Olympic, sort of on Corning. Like 90210 was literally over the other side of the road. So yeah.
So the thought occurred to me, what I need to do in the morning is I need to get a copy of that song and I need to send it to Bret and say, hey, really re-record this and release it. It'll be a hit.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And now that I'm a talent agent, I kind of have the ability to do that kind of thing.
You do. Yeah.
But getting into this end of show business was, like I said, a fluke. I happened to be on the road in San Antonio, Texas. I sent earlier today, I sent you a YouTube video of that show.
I watched it.
So when you get a chance, crank it up, turn it on, dance yourself silly.
I know you had a lot better hair than I did. All the girls were jealous of the guys of the hair, definitely. Back then.
Absolutely. That was the draw. It was the hair.
And the voice.
And at the time, being on the road was just okay. I enjoyed being home more than being on the road. But you got to play and meet people. And I was calling my girlfriend at the time, and she said, "Hey, you need to come home right away." I said, "Why? Why is everything okay?" She said, I'm tired of you being on the road. It's time for you to get a real job."
That line.
Thought I had a real job. I thought I was a rock singer. I had that same week, I had a top 10 hit on nationally syndicated rock radio.
Yeah, K-Rock.
Yeah, on K-Rock. That's right.
Pirate Radio.
Pirate Radio. Yeah. And I remember that day I went for a jog. It's true story. Went for a jog, San Antonio, Texas. I had no idea where I am. I said, never been there. And I was just trying to stay, go around the perimeter of where I was staying just so I wouldn't get lost. I could find my way back. And I heard my song playing. And I looked around and I went, that's my song. And then at the next corner was a cabriolet convertible with 4 young ladies in it. My song on their radio, and they were singing the words.
Oh, amazing.
And I jogged up right to that corner and I was waiting for the light. And I thought, man, I should just start singing.
Yeah, right. Grab that opportunity.
I should jump on the hood of their car and just start singing. And I thought, no, there's going to be plenty of moments like this in my future. I'm just going to sit back and enjoy this. And I kind of jogged in place, and as the light changed and they turned the corner and drove down the road, and I heard my song getting quieter and quieter and quieter.
What a moment.
I thought, wow, that was really cool.
Yeah.
And nothing like that's happened again. And so I should have jumped on the. So that's the moral of the story. If you get a chance to jump on the hood of a cabriolet, do it.
Yeah. I have before. But anyways. so in regards
so my girlfriend said, hey, if you don't come home to Sunset Beach, California, which is where I was living, when you do come home, you're not going to have a home to come home to. I thought about that, and I thought, maybe it is time. I can be a rock singer, in Southern California, and maybe look at recording and being a studio singer. So I finished the tour, came home, and got out a resume and a phone book and a fax machine. And I'm faxing my resume.
Pager?
I had no pager back. I couldn't afford a pager.
Oh, okay.
But I dialed the fax machine and thought, I'm going to send this to Geffen Records because they were the big record label.
They were.
I thought, well, if I can't, get a job as a producer, maybe I can work in A&R. I can help behind the scenes. Lots of things I can do. And I dialed that fax machine, and a few minutes later, I get a phone call. It says, hey, are you Shawn West? I said, yeah. I said, well, we just got your resume. And I thought, oh, this is it. This is my chance.
Big time.
Big time chance. And the voice on the other end said, why did you send it to me? And I said, well, I'm trying to find a job at Geffen Records. And the voice said, well, this isn't Geffen Records. My name is Joanne Geffen. I'm a film producer.
Okay.
I said, oh my goodness, I misdialed the fax. Again, I should have been wearing my glasses and I could see what was going on. And I said, well, I'm very, very sorry. Sorry to bother you. Have a nice day. As I'm hanging up the phone, I hear a voice, wait. He picks up the phone. I said, yes. She said, well, I'm not hiring anybody, but I've got a friend who's also a film producer, and she needs somebody right away. She was just talking to me at lunch today saying she can't find somebody, and she's got 2 pictures at a studio, and your resume looks like it would fit. So can I have her call you? I said, yeah, sure.
As you fell off your chair. Yeah, right.
So about a half an hour from that time, I'm on the phone, and it's a film producer named Ruth Landers, who's the mother of the famous Landers sisters, who were big stars in the 70s and 80s on TV shows like Dallas and BJ and the Bear, and also on the cover of Playboy magazine in 1980, I believe it was.
Okay.
And she said, hey, I need a post-production supervisor at Raleigh Studios, and you have some recording studio experience. Do you think you could handle this job? And, that's the moment in Hollywood where you say, either no, I don't know how to do that. I have no idea what you're talking about. Or you just fake it and say, sure, I can do that.
Yeah. Well, everyone did back then.
Yeah. So I just said, sure, I could do that. She said, okay, be at Raleigh Studios 9:00 Monday morning. So I go to Raleigh Studios, and make a long story short, I figure out that they are doing the sound mix, the final sound mix for the motion picture of all the scenes. So that means they've got people talking to each other. Everybody's got a microphone on, hidden in their clothes. There's bird sounds, there's wind, there's rain, there's all kinds of special sound effects.
Yep.
And they're just mixing it. And so I got to work with 2 great engineers and a whole crew that pampered me and brought me coffee and donuts and free lunch every day for 2 weeks. And I just sat back in a big leather chair and said, yeah, that sounds good enough. Or, no, we need some more birds right there. And that was how I broke into show business. They thought I did such a good job. They offered me a job as a talent manager after that, and an associate producer of films. And the next picture I worked on was with Eric Estrada. And Andrew Stevens, another who's still working to this day. Stella Stevens, the famous actress Stella Stevens, back in the golden age of Hollywood, her son is a director and producer and star, and he's still directing movies to this day. So it just goes to show you can fake it to a point, and you have to have a modicum of some common sense, and you can make it in show business.
Yeah, and a heck of a lot of confidence, right? Heck of a lot of confidence just to walk in and just do that.
Yeah, so
But
that's how I got started, and
and
it's been a lot of fun ever since.
and then you went to work for William Morris,
Yes, I
biggest
did.
one of the biggest agencies out in Los Angeles at the
Yep,
time.
the biggest and the oldest, founded in 1898 in New York.
Wow.
And I right away, I also got lucky right then. The very first week, I was working with Sinbad on his Paramount TV pilot deal for a TV special, and then I was assigned to a young director no one had ever heard of, named Quentin Tarantino,
All
and
right.
we broke a
Sorry,
picture.
can you repeat that name again?
And
Yeah.
we broke a new movie at the Cannes Film Festival that got quite popular very
Yeah.
quickly, called Pulp Fiction. And
Sounds
very quickly
rubbish.
after that, I ended up working for Clint Eastwood and spent the next 5 years working on his movies. And that's where I really learned how to learn the business end of show
Yeah.
business.
Which is really strange because when we spoke some weeks ago, I used to go out with someone from William Morris, and you said to me that he used to sit behind you because he was looking after Julia Roberts at the time.
Mhm.
And I think now he was looking after the late Burt Reynolds, and I think now he's still looking after Chevy Chase and various other people, big people. But he's got his own agency now. But it is quite mad that same sort of social circles on Sunset Strip, so same locations that we were going to. William Morris as well. That I used to go and wait outside for him or meet him from work. So we our paths may have crossed. It's really
Well, yeah, that is an interesting angle that
yeah,
something has brought you and I together, because it
definitely.
tried in the 80s with music. It
Yeah,
tried again with actors at William Morris, and now
yeah,
here we are, a third go around with Karma or Kismet,
yeah.
and
We're doing
UFOs
it this
have
time.
brought
We're
us.
doing it this time. This is our timeline. This
We
is our
can't let each
timeline.
other go now that we
I know.
finally have connected.
I know.
And your UFO experience on the
That's correct.
405
That's correct.
is quite interesting.
Yeah, well, yeah, and that's why I'm absolutely honoured to be a part of the Hollywood Alliance team in the UAP team for my experiences. And if it wasn't having just a remarkable encounter on the freeway in Los Angeles, obviously I've had lots of other encounters, but I had to go public with it because it was just so extraordinary right in Los Angeles, and yeah, Steve Bassett's been a very good friend of mine for a long time. Dan is absolutely lovely, and Dan actually, because we're going to talk about Mount Adams in a minute with you for one of your encounters, which is really quite strange because Dan had a UFO encounter at Mount Adams as well. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Okay, so I went to Isetti Ranch and he saw exactly the same as what I saw at Ranch, which is at Mount Adams. And so
Okay. Yes.
when you spoke about at Mount Adams, I'm thinking, well, obviously it's the area there that that you get to see. I mean, loads of people get to see things at Mount Adams. That's the one place destination I say if you want to go and see something, do go to Mount Adams because it's quite remarkable. So in regards to after, how did you sort of then get into when did you stop doing William Morris, and then where did you start? Were you starting to have experiences back then?
No, not at all. Just a young kid who always looked up at the stars and wondered what in the world's up there. Didn't really read a lot of sci-fi novels. I enjoyed Star Wars, obviously, like we all did in the 70s and 80s.
I never watched Star Wars actually growing up.
Oh heavens! You should
No, I know.
check it out. It's a good
I have
movie.
now. I have now. But no, I wasn't into it as a child. Maybe for just put me off, or maybe I might have been scared. I don't know, but it wasn't my cup of tea.
Well, so my career went on, and I became a talent agent and was also involved in the tech sector, and started to got married, started to have a family,
Mhm.
and it was in 2005 where I just happened to be driving my car early Sunday morning on my way to church by myself, and I was at the top of a ridge, mountaintop, and it's a crystal clear blue day, and there's an intersection at the top of the mountaintop.
Whereabouts? Where's the location? Where were you? That was in. Was it
This
Washington State?
was in a city called Spokane, Washington.
Okay.
And interestingly enough, about that area, there is a very well-known Air Force base called Fairchild Air Force Base, where lots and lots of activity goes on.
Okay.
And I don't know if this sighting had anything to do with that, but it was quite interesting that I got up to the top of that mountain, and I was headed down into the valley, where I stopped, and I just happened to look up ahead and up, and I see a craft, huge, in the middle of the sky, shaped like a do you know what an Fram air filter looks like in your car?
No, we don't call them that, but I think I know what an air filter is like. Yeah.
Yeah, very standard air filter. They're usually round, and they've got
round cylinder with the
ridges.
light. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Actually, yeah.
Well, imagine that, but squishing into the shape of a triangle.
Oh wow.
And then hollowing out the center. That was hanging in the sky right in front of me. Crystal clear. You could see for tens of miles all around you, 360 degrees. And there that thing was. And if I had to guess, I would say probably about 2-3 miles out, maybe maybe 1,000 feet from the ground.
Okay.
And
yeah, because you're up high, and then there's a
and I was already
yeah. Okay, yeah.
And it was just hanging there, and I thought, well, that's the weirdest looking thing I've ever seen. That must be a weird plane getting ready to land. And I was about to keep going in my car, and I thought, oh, wait a minute. I looked around. There's nobody anywhere. It's really early in the morning. Put the car in park, and I just sat there, and I looked at this thing, and it didn't move. And I said to myself, is it really not moving, or is it some kind of optical illusion? So I put my head against the headrest of the car, and I angled it right along the rear view mirror. So I put the object right at the corner of the rear view mirror, and I sat there. And I thought, okay, if I'm still and that thing's moving, it's eventually going to move off that spot. Didn't move. So I watched it for easily 2 minutes. And I happened to glance down at the digital clock of my car, and I saw that it hit the top of the hour, 8 a.m.
Okay.
And I said, the news is on at 8 a.m. on that channel. Maybe there's something on the news about this, because this is extraordinary. I've never seen anything like this in my life.
Yeah.
So I looked down, I turned the radio on, and I looked back up, and it's gone. Just like that. Disappeared. I'm looking around, I'm looking off into the distance, because remember, crystal blue sky, I can see tens of miles around me. And this thing is nowhere. So that was the very first time I'd actually ever seen anything hovering in the sky that was completely unexplainable.
Did you have any sort of feeling as you're approaching up the hill? Obviously, because you're going to church, were you sort of like running late for church? Do you have any apprehension? Did you have any feeling? Nothing.
Not at all. In fact,
Okay,
I was going to be singing in church, singing and playing in church that day.
Oh wow. Okay.
And so I was getting there extra early, and so I was just taking my time, and it was, and nothing. I hadn't seen anything like that ever since. But stuck with me in the back of my mind. And years later, when a little TV show came on History Channel called Ancient Aliens, I perked right up and went, okay, well, let's see what other people are seeing out there. I saw something. And fell in love with that series, and everybody knew and still knows that on Friday nights at 8, we don't bother Dad in the living room. He's watching his favorite show.
Oh, a ritual. Lovely. Love it.
It's a ritual.
Yeah, nice. So
And
did you put on
yeah,
on the news later on that day to see if you could pick it up?
I
and
did.
get
I kept
it?
I
Yeah,
kept looking for things,
I did the same.
2 or 3 weeks, it's still nothing. And finally I just gave it up and I chalked it up to just one of those crazy things that happens in your life. And, I'd heard of people, seeing UFOs and craft and things, unexplainable things. I thought,
Yeah.
well, hey, finally it happened to me. That's great.
Yeah, I remember after my incident on the freeway, when I got back into my apartment, that was the first thing that I did was put the TV on to see if there was anything on the news, and it was it was probably about 7:30 at that time, 8 o'clock at that time, but nothing was on the news. And then a couple of days later, I left LA. But obviously, as you do, it's sort of so heavily imprinted on the mind that you put that categorize it as if to say, I'm going to keep an eye on that for a minute. But yeah, that's interesting. It's interesting that you even noted the time. I noted the time as well. It was like 10 to 7, I just thought it's 10 to 6 at night. Why did I look at the time as well? It was quite extraordinary. I don't remember the date. You remember the date, do you? Because I know you remember the
Yes.
date of one of them. Yeah.
Yep. September 25th. It's a Sunday morning. I believe it was pretty sure. I think it was 2005, as I recall.
Gosh. Okay. That's quite remarkable because a lot of people sometimes, through trauma or anything, totally forget the little details of things. Okay, so after after that encounter, did you go home and speak to anyone about it?
Well, I got on the burgeoning young internet at that time, and I found a website called MUFON, the
Okay,
Mutual UFO Network,
that's great.
and saw that, wow, there's a lot going on here.
Yeah.
Maybe my story could become part and parcel of that
History, part of history.
Yeah. And I also was looking around to see if anybody else had seen what I'd seen, and I couldn't find anything that was reported. So I started to type in all my own information, and they allow you to sketch what you saw.
That's right. I did one of those MUFON reports. Yeah, it was like 4 or 5 pages worth, wasn't it? It was quite big, wasn't it? If I remember.
Yep. And I got quite a ways into the report, and something said to me, "Stop." And I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but I just didn't feel comfortable going further forward with filing this report. I can't explain why, but I ended up just stopping and not hitting that submit button, and kept it all to myself until just recently.
Literally just recently.
Yeah,
Oh,
when I was talking to Dan Harari and Stephen Bassett last year, and talking to them about the Hollywood Disclosure Alliance group, what my own involvement in that could be. And during one of our Zoom chat sessions, I said, "Hey, by the way, I'm not just a talent agent who represents UFO investigators.
Yeah.
I've actually seen a couple of these darn things."
Yeah, right. Well, that's that's what you want. You want someone with some background, and experience behind you, because I don't know, where have you gone? He's gone. I'm not totally sure where he's gone. Let's see if he comes back. Okay. So Race is now showing us a picture of Steve's of Shawn's. Can you come back, Shawn? Are you there? Back in the room? Let's see if I can get him back. Let's see if I can get you back. Are you back there? Oh, there you are.
And
Okay,
back,
right.
can you hear and see me okay?
Yeah, I'm not totally sure why Race put that one up. So that was okay. So that was 2005. So moving to 2007, because I really want everyone to hear the details of this, because it is the most extraordinary encounter that, I love the humanoid encounters because they are absolutely extraordinary. They have so much high strangeness behind them. But when I heard yours, I just thought, like I said, I don't know how I would feel if I'd witnessed that. And I have witnessed some absolutely remarkable, amazing things. So lead us into your 2007 experience, please.
Well, that was the start of a series of 3 experiences.
Okay.
Apart from each other. But definitely, I believe, all related. We're
Yeah,
all
of course.
grounded in the same incident, original incident.
Yeah, they all bring you back to one incident.
Yes,
Yeah,
and it
perfect. They do.
affected my life, my family's life quite a bit, especially the
Mhm.
third instance, which I still haven't talked about to anyone.
Okay.
When I won't talk with anyone about because it was
No.
quite horrifying
Okay.
for many reasons. Um,
Okay.
but since that original incident where I saw that flying triangle, like I said, I just chalked that up to one of those things and never really thought about it. And then one day, a couple of years later, I happened to be heading to, again, early in the morning. I was heading out to a gig. I was playing piano with a country western star named Barry Lee White, and he had a top 100 hit on the radio at that time. So we were touring around the Pacific Northwest, and that summer having a great time, hitting 3 or 4 shows a week and playing country music. And we had just played in Troutdale, Oregon, at a 4th of July festival. And
Oregon's lovely.
patriotic songs, and it's such a beautiful area.
Yeah, it is.
For
Yeah.
country. And the very next week, we had to come back to Portland, Oregon.
Yeah.
Same part of the Pacific.
That's a crazy place, isn't it?
Yeah. Now, what's interesting about this part of the story is I had, I grew up as a kid in the Pacific Northwest. So even though I spent 20 years living in Hollywood, I knew the hills and valleys of the Cascade Mountain Range and Mount St. Helens and Mount Adams and Mount Rainier.
Yeah.
I knew all of these roads and the back roads.
Mm-hmm.
So I shouldn't really have had a problem getting to Troutdale, Oregon from my home base of Spokane, Washington at that time.
Mm-hmm.
But I got lost. Took a wrong turn just outside of the Tri-Cities of Washington. Mm-hmm. Got completely on the wrong, I'm supposed to be headed south and I'm headed due west.
Okay.
And I thought, what in the world, how in the world did I get lost? And I eventually found my way back to the Columbia River Gorge area, where you can cross a bridge across the Columbia River.
All the railroads there, haven't you? Yeah.
Yes. And get back on track to hit Troutdale, where the concert was. Everything went great. Got back home next week. Got up bright and early and said, "Okay, I want to get there. I want to get to Portland. I don't have to be there till tonight, but I'm going to get up really early and I'm going to spend the day and just have a nice time." So I think I left Spokane at about 5:30 a.m. and making my way south, because first you got to go south before you head down the Columbia River. Mm-hmm. And wouldn't you know it, I made the exact same mistake. I took a wrong turn. And without pulling out a map, I can just tell you that in that particular area of the bottom right corner of Washington State, where the Tri-Cities are, there's 3 cities and lots of freeways, lots of highways. Okay. There's also the Hanford nuclear plant next door, which is a whole nother interesting story about that facility and all the strange phenomena that happens there. Mm-hmm. But if you do happen to take a wrong turn, you can't turn around. That's the trouble with that area is once you get on the wrong highway, you're stuck for miles and miles and miles and miles and miles. So there I was, taking the wrong turn again and headed due west instead of south. Now, due west takes you through the Columbia Basin, also takes you through the Yakima Indian Reservation, takes you right by the East Ranch, and then you get to the base of Mount Adams. Now, back then, 2007, I had no idea what these areas were known for. I had no clue. I was a musician. I was a talent agent. I was not representing any UFO people, which didn't happen until I met Nick Pope in 2016. So back then, I had no connection to strange phenomena. But here I was, kind of living in a twilight zone of my own making, where I was lost yet again and trying to make my way back to familiar territory. And that was when things got weird.
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, in a minute. Yeah.
So is this where we go to a commercial break and come back later?
No, there's no commercial break today. Go for it. Yeah. Yeah, this is exciting.
Well, there I am driving my four-door Hyundai Sonata, and I'm on a long, desolate road, and it's a beautiful day, and it's early in the morning, somewhere between 7, 8 o'clock in the morning again, and I happened to notice that there were not a lot of cars around. And I distinctly remember the last time I got lost there in that part of the country, that there was a lot of cars. And being lost, that kind of gives you a calm feeling like, okay, well, I may be lost, but look at all these other people.
Cars.
These other people are lost too.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it had been 1 week since I had been there before. And so here we are a week later, and I'm in the same part of the country, and I'm looking around, and there's nobody. And I mean nobody. I hadn't seen a car for 45 minutes, which would be equivalent to probably 60, 70 miles at that point.
Yeah, right.
I hadn't seen anybody. Now, granted, it's a little desolate, and there's lots of mountains, but still, you would think you'd run into somebody. Now, where I was at that particular moment, the roads which once were fairly swervy straightened themselves out because we were getting ready to come down off a plateau and into the Columbia River Gorge, where the Columbia River cuts through to the Pacific Ocean. So everything's long and flat by the time you get there. So I'm starting to look ahead, and now I can see a mile. I can look carefully and see 2 miles down the road, and there's nobody. And I look behind me, then there's nobody. Then something did catch my eye off to the side of the road, and it was lighting up. It was bright. And
this is to your right.
Yeah, this is to my right as I'm just driving down the highway. And I'm like, oh, well, that's different, because I just spent the last 2 hours looking at trees and wheat fields and things like that. What is that interesting, bright thing on the side of the road? First, I kind of thought, well, maybe it was, state trooper with their lights flashing. Yeah. Then I realized, no, that's not a state. That's not red and blue. Those are other colors. Got closer, and I'm starting to see the light change on this object off to the side of the road. And I'm trying to think, what could that be? And then, it dawned on me. I'm near the Yakima Indian Reservation. I bet you that's a billboard advertising an Indian gaming casino or resort nearby. Oh, God. And it's one of those new LED billboards that's got commercials and, the buffet deals of the day and, come by and play roulette and get $50 in free chips. Okay. So that's what's going through my mind, and I'm getting closer and closer to this thing. I could see it, a mile away. I could see it half a mile away. Here we go, getting right up close to it. And I realized that this square object, not rectangular like a billboard, but this square object is about 10 feet off to the side of the road and about 15, 20 feet high. Okay. Yeah. And I look carefully and I see that it has no structure holding it up. It's just there. And so at that point, I look at my speedometer going about 60, 65 miles an hour. I take my foot off the gas immediately and just let the car coast. Yeah. And as it's coasting, I am watching this thing get closer and closer, and I'm trying to figure out, what is that? Yeah, of course. Cognitively, there's a disconnect. Absolutely, yeah. And then I get close enough to see, within a few hundred yards, I'm close enough to see the images that I'm looking at on this square.
Images, yeah, crazy, yeah.
So So the first thing I see that I can tell what it is I see a pink cityscape, a pink world. There are floating buildings in the sky. There's high technology. There are vehicles moving around. This is a moving picture.
Within the square.
Within this square.
Yeah.
This is what I'm looking at. It's like I'm looking at a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I look around it. I'm like, there's no structure. There's no, I-beams holding this thing up. This isn't a drive-in movie theater that I've stumbled upon. Right. This is just a square cut out of the sky.
Hovering in the sky, yeah.
And again, my car's slowing down from 65 miles an hour. Every once in a while, I look behind me, make sure there's no cars going to come up on me. I'm looking ahead, nothing. Soon as I realize that I'm looking at this pink world, there's a flash. It moves. This window on the side of the road makes a motion, and it changes the movie that I'm looking at. And now it's a movie of that same pink hue, but this time it's a planet. And I'm as if I'm orbiting around that planet. I can see this world. That really got my attention. It's one thing to see, something that's, interesting image that you can't quite explain, thinking that it's an LCD screen from an Indian gaming casino. It's another thing to have it change, and now point of view is I'm in orbit around a planet that's pink. It's got swirly pink clouds and pink atmosphere. Mm-hmm. Now I'm starting to get a little nervous, and the car is slowly coming to a stop. Get my foot on the brake because I don't want to go past this thing. I just want to roll up right next to it. So at that point, I start to pull a little over to the side to get out of the way of any cars that might careen behind me. So off to the dirt side of the dirt road, cars starting to come to a stop. Another flash occurs, and I look up, and it's deep space. I thought, okay, that's weird. Another flash. Suddenly, I could see the moon. I could see what we've all looked at, in movies and things. That's our Earth's moon. Mm-hmm. Another flash. I'm in orbit around a big blue ball called planet Earth. At that moment, I start to put two and two together, and I'm saying, whatever it is I'm looking at is getting closer. Because now it's in orbit around Earth, where I am. Mm-hmm. And I said to myself, I've got to do something. I either have to call somebody, or, I know, I'll take a picture of what I'm looking at. So I reach for my Nokia camera, and I start to see the window undulate again, like I had seen it undulate and flash. And I'm thinking, what's it going to show me next? If I saw the deep space, and I saw the moon, and I saw Earth, how close is this thing going to get? Yeah. What's the next picture? Me sitting on the side of the road in a car? I have no idea. I'm kind of scared.
Nervous, yeah.
So I reach for the cell phone, and I know I had that cell phone all the way back till my days in Los Angeles when I worked at HBO Films, and I knew that to get the picture, you have to select that feature first, and I knew that it was you had to turn it on, hit the center button, then you had to click the up button twice to get to that app. You had to click it again to open the app, and then the camera was on. You could snap a picture. Mm-hmm. Again, this is this is 2007, and the phone was probably 6 or 7 years old at that point. So I've got the phone in my hand, fact, the phone is sitting in that. There's a shelf right over there in my office. That same phone is
Under
sitting
lock and key.
under lock
Right.
and key. That's right.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm reaching and I'm looking, through the windshield of my car, and I click, arrow up, click, hold the phone out,
Remarkable.
and whoosh, there was a giant flash, and an object comes out of this.
Should we stop there and let Ray show the pictures?
Absolutely.
Just so people Race. Yeah. Okay. So that is the object that flew out. Can we go to the actual picture of the?
And on in the left corner, you can see the window undulating.
Yeah.
And these were when it did flash and undulate, it was black and white concentric squares.
Can we show the other ones, Race, a minute, just so we can see the portal? There you go. So that's basically go down right up close to it.
And
right,
those little black and white squares were moving, had energy to them.
I wonder if I thought when I saw it on Dan's, I wonder if it was sort of like anything, if there was any like crop circle very similar to that, because that would be quite interesting.
That's a really good question. We should probably get Nick Pope on the phone and ask him if he knows of anything like that.
I've actually got a picture of like all of the crop circles up to current date, so I will send them to you, because that's what made me think about it. And I thought, hang on,
that's a good observation. Yeah, that would be really interesting.
Oh, see, blonde and not totally stupid then. Yeah, okay. So back to that then. So as you clicked your camera, then
so I was shocked. I saw this object fly out.
We got 7 minutes.
And notice it's going horizontal, right? Mm-hmm. It's leaving the window, what I now refer to as the Portland portal.
Okay.
And my arm extends straight out.
Yeah, right.
And I smash the button.
So your window's down, you don't hear anything. The window's down.
Oh, yeah, there was no sound in any of this experience. There was no sound.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And my arm, my hand with the cell phone in it, hits the back of the headrest. The phone falls out, it goes bouncing around in the back seat.
Swearing.
And I'm turning around and I'm looking through the back windows, and I'm watching this metallic cube sail off into the beautiful morning sun.
So which the cube came out of the biggest one nearest to you, right?
Yes. Now what's interesting, and why you see two there, that's an artist's rendition. A wonderful artist named Greg Semko created these illustrations based off our conversations.
Yeah.
And he's an incredible illustrator for video games and other things. Greg Semko, Semkow. And he's been a very well-known illustrator for many decades.
Can Race just show the cube, because I also thought that was quite interesting. So like a lot of the older pictures of craft, sort of like more of the darker side, they craft to look a bit sort of like that. But I'm wondering again, like crop circly as well, to look into that one as well.
And so as I'm watching the cube sail off into the sunrise.
And how big was that?
The cube itself?
Yes.
As I recall, the cube in real life, in my memory, was about the size of 2 to 4 washer dryers stuck together.
Okay.
In a box.
Okay.
Now, in the artist's rendition, it does look smaller than that, but I always point out to folks that I show this picture to. I think you're the third person I've shown this to.
Ooh, amazing, thank you. So no noise, no pop, no nothing in the air.
Nothing, just a flash of light from the portal.
Okay.
Yeah.
As you took the picture, so straight after you took the picture, then you had the flash. That's interesting.
No. As I'm realizing that I'd better take a picture of this.
Incredible.
and reaching for the phone, I could see the window, the portal undulating again, and I'm getting the distinct feeling that it's going to flash and something's going to happen. I don't know what, but something's going to happen. Sure enough, something did. This thing flew out and startled me so much that I smashed my thumb on the button and my hand hits the headrest and the phone goes flying.
I mean, I have to say, just from a silly observation point of view, a lot of my old classic cars ended up looking like that in square cubes on in salvage yards. But yeah.
So I immediately am flummoxed, scared, nervous. So like, what in the world just happened? And I reach for the phone in the back seat.
3 minutes.
And I look at the phone and it says memory full. And my heart sinks.
Yeah, right.
I thought, oh, crap. I didn't get it.
Yeah.
So I sat there.
Yeah.
And I looked ahead, no cars. I looked behind, still no cars. Thinking, well, I should collect myself and keep moving forward. And I said, well, you know what? Before I do that, I'm getting out of the car. I'm going to go look at this portal.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I get out,
yeah,
and I walk up, and it's still just kind of undulating like that. And I walk up, and I walk just past it to see what's holding this up. Still thinking maybe I could be wrong. Maybe there's a structure here holding this thing up. And I look behind, and there's nothing there. And from behind,
remarkable.
I can't see the portal anymore. From behind, it doesn't exist. I take another step back and I see the portal just disappear. Now, the reason why you see two squares, two portals on that one image is because later on, in fact, over a year later on, when I was analyzing the photo that actually was taken on that phone, even though it said memory full, a photo existed.
Wow.
I could see in the upper right corner of the car's windshield, you can see this echo of a portal behind the main portal. And I thought a long while about what that means. And I thought, well, if we're dealing with interstellar travel, we're dealing with faster than light, we're dealing with possibly different dimensions, then why wouldn't the portal have its own echo once activated? Why wouldn't there be a bit of time and space dimensional separation at that moment that something was happening? And so since I could see it on the photograph, I had the artist do a rendition of what that might look like from that vantage point farther away. So that's why you see that there. Now,
so you have photographs of these existing, right? I'm going to have you back because we're going to have to continue this story because we've got to end now, and we've ended on a cliffhanger. I mean, that's an hour gone already. I mean, it's unbelievable.
What I need to do is tell you about a few moments later, after I collected myself, when I actually heard voices from the two members piloting that craft.
Right. Okay.
And what they said to me.
Okay. Well, you're going to have to come back on for a part 2.
Anytime.
Sean, that is going to have to be a part 2. So listen, Guy, this has gone so quickly because it's absolutely amazing. This story is going to continue. Shawn West, thank you so much. Thank you. I'll book you in very soon. We'll have that private call very soon. And Shawn, thank you. Everybody, you want to plug quickly your website for everyone to go to for your website?
Well, you can go to thewayneagency.com and you can see quite a few of our talent that we book for film and television. And if you need a UFO expert, just give me a call or an email.
All right. Thank you so much, Shawn. And I hope everyone enjoyed tonight's show. And we're going to be back for the rest of Shawn's story, Encounter, which is quite extraordinary. Thank you, guys, and see you next week. Bye.